Well, we're back for another episode of Scott's Boring Life. It's been a while. A lot has happened to everybody, not just me. Let's not forget that, huh? The world doesn't just happen to you or me. It happens to us. Let's talk about it. I'm going to tell you about the Golden Globes. I went there. People love that shit, and I thought maybe if I mentioned that, you'll stick around to listen to the whole podcast. What else? I went to movie premieres, things like that. You like that, so you'll stick around and listen, right? I don't know. This is Scott's Boring Life. So is it too soon? I don't think so. I don't think it's too soon to be doing podcasts or anything else. We're in the clear, right? There was a while there where it was inappropriate. I felt it was inappropriate. It was an interesting time during the shutdown during March. You know what? I didn't listen to podcasts at that time. I didn't give a fuck. My favorite podcasts I did not listen to. Shit got real, didn't it? I mean, I looked at YouTube things about gardening and how to purify water. And I don't know. I really focused on my yard. I became obsessed with my yard, and I think this is pretty typical across the board. But I'll tell you what, man. You did not come here to talk about coronavirus or the shutdown. This is Scott's Boring Life. It's not CNN. Now we're going to just talk about everything before COVID-19. And so before COVID-19, I was here preparing to go on a trip to Los Angeles. And I was in Los Angeles with my wife for, well, just over 3 months. We drove down, me, the wife, the dog. And we wanted to see what it was like to live and play and work in LA. And we liked it, man. It surprised me. It was nothing like I thought. There were times it was maybe what I feared, but for the most part, I liked it. People were cool. It was greener than I thought where we were. The air was nicer than I thought. The people were nicer. So LA was cool. Now, we're also going to talk about the dark side of LA, which is homelessness and despair. I mean, 70,000 people are homeless in Los Angeles, so wrap your head around that. So we'll get to that a little bit. We also took side trips. One was up to San Francisco while we were there. We moved around a little bit. We were in Silver Lake, Echo Park, Venice Beach. But before we left, it was a bit of a scramble. So that'd be like early December 2019. I got one of those fucking houses. It's at that age where like everything is about to die. So I'm very busy. So there's a lot of things to do to get ready to leave the house empty for 3 months in the Pacific Northwest. So that's what I was doing. I was scrambling for that. And know what I was doing? It was kind of interesting. I was trying to think of future Scott. Like, I'm about to leave this studio, for example. And there are all kinds of cables and little things that present Scott knows where they are and what they do and what I had in mind when this was half hooked up over here. So I tried to leave everything in such a way where it was kind of like I had amnesia and I was dropped into the situation, and I tried to help future Scott. So I put notes around, because I know I'm not going to fucking remember. The irrigation system, all the sprinklers, I got out of hand, man. My yard is very green. Apparently that matters to me now. Fuck. It doesn't matter. But it does. I don't know. I care about my yard. Anyway, it's very complex, and I have all these different zones, and I built the whole thing. But each timer has to go in a certain spot. So when I took them off, I knew I wouldn't remember where they went back, so I put little notes on them. Anyway, when we finally did get back, I really appreciated past Scott. And it was like I was a guy from the amnesia walking into this other guy's life, like, whoa, cool studio. What does this stuff do? And like a little note how to turn it on. It's like right out of a movie. I often have to think of future Scott. If I don't, future Scott is in trouble. Anyway, so I was getting set up to leave, and we packed up the truck, and we headed south. It was Boxing Day, I believe. That's the day after Christmas. And I'm not an awesome traveler and I'm getting better, but I love home very much. Whenever we're leaving for a long time, oh boy, I miss it. Anyway, so especially this trip from home in British Columbia down to Los Angeles, we've done it quite a few times, and it's a classic road trip. And I'm sure you know about the I-5. It's this interstate that goes bombs right down. A lot of people say it's boring. I don't think so. I like that drive. A little bit more appealing is if you go along the coast on Highway 101. And that's what we did. I'll talk about that a little bit. But anyway, we were on our way to go to customs in the lineup, and I hate that. I got nothing to fear. I do it all the time, but every time my heart rate goes up, and I freak out a little bit. I don't know if that's uncommon. I don't think so. Karina does most of the talking. It's better that way. Because you see, I'm kind of a weird guy. I'm 39 years old. I know who I am. I'm okay with it. I'm a weird fucking guy. I got an odd approach. Some areas of life works great. Other places, not so much. I want to play guitar in a hard rock band. Kind of works. Married now, but in the past, maybe a young woman wanted to upset her parents. So they date me for a little while. It worked. Worked for everybody. Going through customs, it doesn't work. It's this quality that it's not good. But I can't help it. Can't help it. It happens all the time. Anyway, so Karina does the talking. The guy's kind of looking at me. And we get through, and boy, does that ever feel good. Anytime you cross any border, you're like, oh my God. I mean, they could have put me in a room and put their finger up my ass. And I could have said nothing. Had no rights for just a moment there. Anyway, so we got through, and we're in the United States, heading south. And just to get to that point, it takes like fucking forever because I got a ferry, and it's a long time just to get to the border. You're exhausted, and you're just starting out. The first day of this trip sucks. You have the customs, and then you're in Washington State, and it's okay, but it's a little too similar to where I'm from. I hate driving through Seattle. It's always nighttime and raining. Every fucking time. I guess for me, the first, you have a classic road trips. Everybody has them. I don't know what yours is, but you're probably thinking of it right now. Yeah, that's mine. Whenever I go, I don't know, camping to that place or the cottage or whatever. Your aunt's place somewhere. It's a road trip. It takes some time. There's a certain point that is a distance from your house where you're like, okay, I let go of my house kind of thing. So for me, that's actually once I'm in Oregon. It's pretty far. I got to bypass the whole state of Washington. I got nothing against Washington. It's just, it takes forever for me to get there, and then we don't want to stay in a hotel you need to get some miles. You feel like you just started your road trip. Anyway. In the States, it's interesting. When you change states, it really is different. And the line, this imaginary line, it's like you can almost see it. When you go from Washington to Oregon, it's that bridge. And I swear I hear music like every time. Welcome to Oregon. And then you're kind of in Portland, sort of. Or I think you are. And then after that bridge, I feel like, all right. I'm committed to this road trip. I don't know, road trips are questionable whenever you could fly. I mean, it takes really 4 days, 4 long days to get from my house down to LA driving. And it's debatable if it makes any sense at all. I mean, you could fly in 4 hours. Well, here's another example of how I'm a weird guy. I think that I vibe people out. Sometimes I do. I can't help it. It's okay. Sometimes I don't. And that's great. I find other weird people. You know what? You're probably one of those weird people if you're listening to this. It's all right. Accept it. Feels good. Be weird. Anyway, so like here's an example. Whenever I do fly, you know, when you're waiting in line to get on the plane, that weird moment. Well, you know, sometimes the pilot comes and walks by everybody, and they're like walking on air. They're all full of bravado and confidence because they're a high status job and they're cool hat, and they're smiling and they make eye contact with everybody as they're coming through. I think it's professional, not a bad idea, to instill confidence that they're good pilots. Well, whenever they get to me, without fail, I turn my head back and make sure they cannot see the gaze of my eyes. So I turn around and they can't see my eyes. Because I think I'm going to vibe out the pilot. And I don't want him to be at his best. And this is a real thing, man. And they always kind of get to me and they get a glimpse. I'm like, God, fuck. I hope it didn't happen. So I look away, look down. And I know it's rude. And you kind of vibe something out by being rude. But I think I'm better off. Just put my back to the guy. It's better off for him and for the safety of everybody. And I think if he did catch my eyes, it'd just be like a moment, be like, hello. And he gets me, be like, oh, hello. And then he just move on. Wouldn't seem like much, but I know I vibed him out. And I'm imagining that gets to cruising altitude, and then all of a sudden he starts pushing the nose down, and the co-pilot's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I don't know. This fucking guy was so fucking weird. And he's like, well, I don't know why I'm doing this. And he crashes the fucking plane, and I'm dead. Everyone's dead. And then listen back to the cockpit thing, recording. And they're like, apparently there was some weird guy. They don't understand it. And I just think we could avoid all of that if I just turn my head and don't look at him. Anyway, Oregon is really nice. As soon as you go over the bridge and you land in Portland, something about it, man. The people are cool. Did you know you can't pump your own gas in Oregon? It's great. It's a good idea. And they have these drive-through coffee places called Dutch Brothers, and by golly, are they ever friendly. They look deep in your eyes, you know, but not in this, like, weird guy way. Like, they're like, oh, you're weird. That's all right. We're all weird here in Oregon. Here's your coffee. And the coffee's fucking amazing. Drink your coffee while someone else pumps your gas. They're like, hey, I'm weird too, pumping your gas. Oregon's cool. I have no problems with Oregon. We went to Newport Beach. That's what it's called. Yeah, Newport Beach. What a cool town, man. It's like this little fishing town. It's like right out of a movie. And all the people there are like characters in a movie. In the fishing town in Oregon. There's a lot of crab traps everywhere. I don't know how there's a single crab left on the seafloor, because I swear there's thousands of crab traps. Anyway, you go there and you get a crab pot or a clam chowder, of course. And it's fucking amazing. So we went there. It was rainy, but it was okay. People were nice. And then we just pushed on. And then crossing the state from Oregon to California, that's a milestone. And I like the I-5 for that. There's some mountain passes, and when Oregon is very green, and everything you think Oregon is, it is. And then you go, it's like this mountain pass, and then it just opens up, and all of a sudden it goes from green to like this like red clay, and it's almost like not a desert, but it's just sure as fuck isn't Oregon. It's California. It's this imaginary line, but it's not imaginary. It really changes, like the climate changes. You're in a kind of Shasta area, Northern California. Beautiful. Really nice. The trees are different. Makes no sense. I guess they put the lines not just anywhere. So, Northern California, you still have quite a ride. And we seem to stop in the same places a lot. We stopped at a place called Healdsburg. Very nice, cool spot. It's one of those places. It's a very quaint place and high-end restaurants and surrounded by wineries. So it's basically, to me, Healdsburg is women between the age of 36 and 66, drunk, giggling, stumbling, dressed well, really done up. It smells like the perfume section at the department stores when you're walking through. Because you smell all the different drunk ladies' perfume as they stumble by in their expensive clothes, drunk on expensive wine. Healdsburg is very nice. It's done up quite well. Anyway, Northern California. What else could I say about Northern? We always end up stopping in Redding. What a shithole. It's just, you end up at a certain point where you're tired and it just always seems to land there, but we've been making a point of trying not to do that. It's okay. If you're from Redding, relax. I'm sure it's fine. It's just, we stop at this little shitty hotel. I don't know what the town's like. Relax. Reddinger. You weird fucker. Anyway. So, we took our time. I think we took maybe 5 days. Could that be it? Let me think for one damn minute. We left on Boxing Day, the 26th, and we got there on New Year's Eve. 26, 7, 8, 9. It took, okay, so 4 days. On the fourth day, we arrive in Hollywood. That's always neat. Maybe not if you're from there, but for everybody else, I don't know, it's kind of cool. And we didn't have our place where we were staying long-term yet. It's New Year's Eve. And of course, my wife is really plugged into, I don't know what. I have no idea what she does, but she'd be like, we're going here. I'm like, great. How'd that happen? So we're going, it was New Year's Eve and we went to the Soho House. And what that is like a nightclub, I guess. And it's also a restaurant and you have to be a member. Fancy, huh? I don't know. So it was interesting. I'll tell you that much, man. I'm going to tell you about it a little bit. So New Year's Eve, Hollywood, we just get there, long drive. We just kind of keep everything in the truck because we're just at a hotel for the night. Have our overnight bags. We knew this was happening, so I had my suit all wrinkled for New Year's Eve. And we could walk over to the Soho House. And it's kind of neat because it's Karina has a colleague or friend that is a member, and because we're friends, we were their friends, we were able to go up. And it was a really cool experience. They had in the foyer before, as you go in and you sign in, they had like a fake movie set thing, and an old timey movie being shot, and all these actors, they were really good. It's like, wow. So that's what real actors are like. It was really like captivating to watch. No one else seemed to care, but I was just like, whoa, this is fantastic. And then these expensive costumes and, but like, if you can imagine, I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but at the corner of the room was like a fake movie set, and even like the cameraman, the director, and everything were, it was all like acts. It was actually more of a play, just for your entertainment as you walk in. Isn't that neat? I thought it was great. No one seemed to give a fuck, except me. I'm like, all of you, the whole bunch of you. Wow. You are. Now this club, I think it's I could be wrong. At certainly at some point it was for like people in the industry. So I bet these actors are like, somebody notice me, please. I know somebody coming in here. So I was nobody. But I was noticing, and I'm like, you guys are awesome. And I actually stuck around long enough to realize that there was a loop. So like they were so good, I didn't even realize they were acting. And then I thought they were kind of ad-libbing a bit, but no, then they kind of started over again. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go. So I went up the elevator. You go in, by the way, in like a parking lot, like an underground parking lot. And everybody's dressed to the nines. Is a very, older guys in their Ferraris and like their dyed hair, and the girls are all plasticky, fake lips and dumb. Anyway, there's a lot of that, I'm like, okay, I guess this is going to be the experience, right? I'm like, well, lots of different kind of people in the world, right? I mean, it's all good. Anyway, sorry, I got lost in thought a little bit, remembering. So, up the elevator we go into the Soho House, and actually have been there before. And it's really cool. I mean, you have this huge panoramic view from of the Hollywood sign and Los Angeles, and sunset. I mean, it's not cool. I think people make fun of this place a little bit because people that brag about going, and of course there are the plasticky woman and the tryhards. There's that side of it. But I mean, this fucking view's crazy. The drinks are great. There's this really expensive pizza that we had. There's like a truffle pizza. It was like probably the best thing I've ever eaten. So I mean, you can make fun of a few things, but actually it's pretty fucking cool if you just get past the few characters. But and I mentioned those few characters, but I'm sure 90% were like very accomplished, just pretty cool people, or not. I don't know. Anyway, so in we go, and they have this amazing band playing. Like kind of like like jazz, but like really exciting jazz. Like a big band, but it was a small band. Just a few, like a small horn section, and the singer was amazing. And we kind of settle in. It's kind of loud, and I would say the vibe of the night was pretty good, but it was New Year's Eve. I mean, it's stupid. Everybody's just like, first of all, I was people watching a lot. And I noticed like everybody was like not looking at their table or talking. Everybody's attention was like away, like scanning the room. And then I realized what they were doing. They were looking for famous people. I'm sure of it. That's what was happening. I might have been doing that too a little. I don't know. But to me, everybody was famous. Kind of. Interesting. Anyway, I just arrived. I mean, just 4 days earlier, I was handling my irrigation system on my sprinkler. So, I mean, I'm sure that that's my point is, nobody was no one was dancing with the girl they brought to the prom. Everybody's trying to spot a famous person. I bet they're, like a really famous person. And because they're known for being there, but I don't think they go into that place anymore. I think things are in vogue and then they're not. And I have a feeling that, the Leonardo DiCaprios don't go there anymore. Anyway, so that was just a little observation that everybody's kind of scanning the room constantly and not in the moment. But it's New Year's Eve, and there's a lot of pressure, and it's stupid. I only had one really good New Year's Eve. This one was a great one. And I thought actually everyone with my wife, Karina, has been really great. Like we did one at Disney. They've been really great. But one that really stands out is whenever I was a very young man, like before the drinking age, and he was sneaking to bars. So whatever age that was, 16, probably more like 15. I'm gonna say 15. I bet I don't think I had a license yet. And what we did back then is you'd go over to the province next to us, Quebec. The drinking age was a little lower. It's a little more loose over there. And everybody decided they're going to this bar to have a New Year's Eve. Especially the older kids. And somehow me and... I was even by myself. I don't know. But somehow I ended up over there. And it was very exciting because one of my first times at a bar, a little bit far away from home. But there's some familiar faces. Older kids didn't seem to not want me there. So it was a nice, really exciting night for me, for a 15-year-old Scot. New Year's Eve in Quebec, snuck into a bar. Yeah. And then, when the countdown happens, I'm on the dance floor type of area. And very exciting. Comes down to one. Everyone's going, woo. And I went to whisper in a young lady's ear, Happy New Year. And when I brought my head forward, she kissed me. She thought I was going in for a kiss. I was so young and dumb. I didn't even realize that was a thing you did at that moment. I had felt like an awkwardness, and I wanted to break it by saying Happy New Year. Leant in, boom, kiss, and like a fucking good one. One of those like 15-year-old like levitating kisses. Fucking gross. But yeah, it was great. And so that was good. It was unexpected, and she was very pretty. And that was my best New Year's. And then after, I think she kissed somebody else. But anyway. But his New Year's was fantastic, and it was a really great experience. And then we left fairly early because we were pooped. We were so tired. And it was loud, so we couldn't really have a good conversation with her friend there. And then he had some other friends come. And it was just too loud to talk. We were tired. Went home. Anyway, so we went to Echo Park, which was where we loved and would like to go back. We went 3 different places. Echo Park, we stayed the longest. And we got a B&B. We had it long term. And it was so cool. We could see the Hollywood sign from where we were. For me, anytime I go somewhere new, because we travel a lot now, and I can kind of size a place up pretty quick, and I do size it up quickly when I get there. And one of a few things, can I go for a run in the morning? Is there fresh food around? And sunlight. And that's about it. Beyond that, So running, walking, amazing. Legion Park was right next to us, and all the roads were just fucking great. The weather was so great. There's something about the sunlight there. And it was a nice sunny spot. So, I'm the guy that walks the dog every morning, so it was a great place for that. Food is great. It was okay. I must say, it was good enough. I finally found a little privately owned spot that I could walk to, and you can get some fresh stuff there, and that was pretty good. We could drive to a Whole Foods. It was one of those bullshit Whole Foods, and actually not great. I get quite spoiled where I live. Our local grocery store is fantastic, and local farmers and whatnot. Like, for example, there's this place we went to in Mallorca. Kuala Lumpur. No, not Kuala Lumpur. Fuck, that was stupid. Kaya Mayor. Anyway, I didn't like it. You couldn't go for a run in the morning because it was so busy with Germans of all German tourists. And so you couldn't go for a run. It was just too jam-packed. And there's nowhere to get, fresh vegetables and fruits and leafy greens, stuff like that. And if you're staying somewhere for a few weeks and you just got this, restaurant food, it gets, and you can't go for a run. Ugh. Anyway, Echo Park was great. We lived there. I decided to start boxing. So I went to this small place, and And I liked it, man. What a great experience. It was the only thing they had was like 6 in the morning. So I had to wake up at like 5 in the morning or just a little after 5. And I did it. So I learned how to box. It was in this tiniest little spot, so small. It's typical of, like new independent businesses is what happens. They go in like the shittier parts of town, of a city where no one else wants to be because the rent's cheaper and it's a small little awkward spot. That's why like new hip restaurants, you find them in like the worst parts of town. And that's why. And I think that's why this was there. Anyway, it was tiny. So there's one day I went, I was the only guy there. And then there was another time, some other times there were a bunch of people. But I really, really like boxing a lot. In fact, I got a boxing bag now in my house because of that. And Echo Park Boxing, you were great. Right up to the end, we were going to move on. It's my last one, and I drove there, and I left because it's such a tiny little spot that there's nowhere to put, there's no lockers, there's no showers. It's like really, really small. So I left my clothes and my cell phone, which is my wallet, in the truck. Went, did the boxing thing, and it was so crowded this time. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of glad this is my last time here. Like you're skip roping, and like the guy next to you is like whipping you in your face with the skip rope and the like you're just doing this like because it's training, right? So you're doing a lot of like aerobic type stuff, like exercises, and you're just trying not to like elbow someone next to you too close. Ugh. Anyway, so it's my last one there, and I was thinking like, part of me is thinking like maybe I can like make some friends, I don't know. Do you still do that as an adult? You could. I kind of like the idea at the time. Like, hey, high five, let's go all together and get a coffee and talk about boxing. I don't know. It's probably a stupid idea. It sounds stressful. Maybe I don't want to do that, but it crossed my mind. Anyway, my last time, because there was a coffee shop right next to it, and they did kind of hang out a bit. I felt like the new guy. I cracked a few jokes. I got a few laughs. That was enough. Anyway, the last time I go to my truck, and it's gone. I got fucking towed. And my wallet and phone was in the truck. So standing there, it's so sweaty, like nothing, and like without my phone, like no GPS, no credit card, nothing. I'm like, holy shit, this sucks. A sweaty mess from boxing. Anyway, I'm like, I'll just go get a coffee and just think about this for a second, try to find the phone number. Oh, can't get a coffee, can't pay for it, can't call anybody, can't call the tow check place. Fucking sucked, man. So I started hit the road, man. I started running because I had my running shoes on. Not running like an idiot, but I'm like, I can't walk. It's going to take me forever. So finally, first I went back in. I said, hey, do you guys know where the tow truck place is? They don't. So that was it. So I did do a few sensible things. So I end up seeing a tow truck guy. I'm like, hey, so I think you might have told me, or one of your buddies sure as fuck did. What now? I don't have a phone. He tells me where it is, but it's this thick Mexican accent, Spanish accent rather, and I couldn't say what again, Like, you can say what twice, and then like the third time, it's just like, okay, fuck you, I get it, I have an accent, and I'm in a powerful situation here. I'm the tow truck guy, you're the low guy that got towed. I'm giving you directions, you should be happy. No, there's no more what. I'm leaving. That was the look I got. I'm like, okay, he pointed, so I at least knew the vague direction. I caught a few things. Started running, man. Running fucking like an idiot. Sweaty mess. I finally find it. And I have to explain to them that my wallet phone is in the truck. It sucked. Finally get back. It was our last day in Echo Park. And we moved on to Silver Lake. It was cool, man. Because you walk down to Sunset, and that stretch is kind of neat. We had some great restaurants we went to. We had some awesome bars. I was trying not to drink too much back then. So I do that sometimes. And yeah, not drinking's weird because then there's like a whole 90% of the energy of the neighborhood is revolved around drinking. So it's like it's a thing. Anyway. So we moved on to Silver Lake, which is just like the one neighborhood over. That was cool too. It was actually a nicer area, but it just wasn't as sunny. The walking wasn't quite as good. Just didn't feel as good, but it was too dark. It's one of those places, like you drop your keys, you're like, fuck, where are they? Where are they? They're right in front of you. You can't see them. It's that dark, midday. Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird place. Designed, like, obviously somebody had an eye for design. Like, it was interesting. It kind of looked like I don't know, like a madam would live there or something. They have those sconce on the wall and a lot of drapery. I don't know. Dark colors, though. Ugh. LA's neat that every house is totally different. Really interesting. And we did a few things. We went to a movie premiere, not a movie premiere, a series premiere for Westworld. We liked the first season a lot. And the same colleague of Karina's got us to the premiere. Premieres are fun. You put on some pants, comb your hair, gives you an excuse to do, have a night. So this was at the Chinese Theater, which is iconic. Right on Hollywood Boulevard. Is it Hollywood Boulevard? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we went there, and it's kind of neat. It's a big one. It had, it's all sectioned off, and, we get closer, like, hey, get the fuck out of here. And we're like, no, we got the thing. And like, oh, hello, please come this way. So we go in, and then these premieres are really high budge. They put so much into it. Like, for Westworld, they had this, like, the actual car, not space car, but like futuristic car thing there. It was really cool. And then actually, as soon as I went in, the main actor guy was there across. He was looking at the car, and he looked at me, and he's like, he's like, whoa, what a weird guy. I could tell. He looked at me, and he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't know. Fuck you. It was, the guy Jesse from Breaking Bad. Well, he's Aaron something is his real name. Anyway, him. So in we go. We watch the thing, and you sit there with all the people that were in it and watch the episode, and then you go for a party upstairs, and the food's like crazy, and all the drinks you want, and it's kind of neat. It's like you're at somebody else's event because we had no business there. I'm a weird guy, and people look at me like, but like sometimes they think I'm maybe someone famous. Not in a good way, I don't think. Not in a good way, but it does happen time to time. Throughout my life, it has happened, but especially when I'm down there. And what happened 3 times, I think, is I thought I was walking Phoenix. I don't see it, man. But once at a coffee shop. I forget the other time right now, but it doesn't matter. But then, so I'm bringing you to the 3rd time. Now, you got to realize that I don't know if I'm allowed at these parties. I kind of feel like I'm going to get found out and get in trouble. So there's that, because I think we're one of the few people that don't have any connection to what's happening. Or at least like the +1 of someone who has, who's the editor or the lighting director or whatever. So there's that. Anyway, so we're just hanging out, and we meet a few of the actors. We met the woman. What's her name? Oh, Karina, my wife, loves her. Anyway, she looked at me like, do I know you? I'm like, no, I'm just a weird guy. Anyway, so she thought it was, and then the Jesse guy saw me again. He comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, are you okay, man? I'm like, yeah, I'm just a weird guy. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing. But, I had a moment with both of them. And then we're hanging out at a table, like a high top where you lean against it. We're drinking. And this guy looks my way, and I look his way. We made eye contact for a second, and it's like, whoops, you look away. And he looks away too. And then it's just this Asian gentleman with long hair. And I didn't know who he was. And then, like, I think 3 times we made eye contact. It's like, fuck. So anyway, he's like, well, geez, for crying out loud, I'm going to come by and say hi to you and Karina. So he does. Very nice, man. Very nice way about him. Kind, intelligent, all these good things. I don't know who he is. Karina does. Anyway, he's just looks at me. He's like, excellent performance. It's really a beautiful performance. And he bows his head. I didn't know what to do. Right, this is the 3rd time, and I'm sure he thinks I'm Joaquin Phoenix, and I think he's complimenting the Joker performance. I don't know what to do. I know what the right thing is to do is to say, oh no, I'm just here as a guest. You must have me confused with somebody else. I didn't say that. That's just the other times it happened. I did say some version of that, so that's what you do. I think it's because I didn't want to I felt like I was going to get in trouble if I wasn't involved here or something. Maybe a part of me wanted to be Joaquin Phoenix and actually be in this moment, be the person he thinks I am. So what I did say was thank you. And I bowed my head in response. And then we just had a nice chat, about where we're from. He was super funny. It was great. And then this like tall, square-jawed guy comes with his attractive girlfriend, wife or whatever, and they know him, and they're like, "Oh, hi," and it's like me and Karina are looking at each other like, "What the fuck do we do? What do we do?" Like, and then before we decide, square-jawed guy says, "Mark, editor," puts his hand out to me to shake it. And obviously this is what I'm supposed to say is, Scott, assistant or director, whatever. But I'm like, I don't know. That's what happens when you lie. You end up in this web of deceit. So I'm like, hey, because the Asian guy's right there. And I'm like, I just said, Scott, shook his hand. Me and Grant look at each other. We're like, boo, get out of there. Go to the sushi place or whatever, the sushi table or whatever. And then Karina's like, you know who that was? The Asian guy. I'm like, no. She says that it's the guy from Last of the Samurai. He was in a lot of stuff, but I loved that movie. I'm like, oh. Well, I totally disrespected him because, obviously he realized that it wasn't him after. He's probably like, what a fucking dickhead. What a weird guy. Could have told me. So super nice man that I didn't handle that too well. Stupid. Anyway. That was a fun night, though. It was interesting. So high budge. We've been to the premieres before. We went to The Revenant. That one with the bear and Leonardo DiCaprio. That one was really interesting. My wife really likes Tom Hardy. She would leave me for him for sure. And so she wants to go to that. But it's interesting to see the famous people in a way. Because I think it's just this phenomenon. If you see someone on TV or maybe even hear their voice on radio, when you actually see them in real life, it's just you're a bit struck. I think that's why starstruck. I think star is a bit strong, but struck is like, I'll get starstruck by anybody that I see. Let's say it's on YouTube. If it's the guy that's the gardener guy that's been showing me how to hook up my sprinkler system, If I watch like 5 things and then I actually run into them, I'll be struck. It's just this phenomenon that happens. And it's nothing more than that. So yeah, it happens to me for sure. Hang on, my phone. I gotta turn it off because it gets a stupid interference. Anyway, so Silver Lake was interesting. We had, we could take these little trips. Went to Pasadena, quite nice. We went to Culver City, a little event there. I like Culver City a lot. We went downtown LA, which is, that's the conversation we need to get to, where it's about, the homelessness problem in Los Angeles, every West Coast city in North America. But holy moly, it's everywhere. And in the nice parts is there too. But what's different there is they're living in their cars. So the streets just lined with people, and you can kind of tell. And they're not necessarily like drug addict, mentally ill people. Like they're just, I don't know. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. There's 70,000 of them. Think of that number. I mean, it's a city within a city. It's so out of control. And it has to be mentioned. I wish I could give some kind of solution. I do have personal theories and, not a blanket solution, but it is a problem that needs to be talked about. Because it's getting worse and worse and worse. I kind of feel like people think there's only certain ways of doing things, only certain types of governments that exist. There's like 3 or 4. I think there's more than that. There's more ways of doing things. As we're changing as people, we get these new problems, new technologies in all our lives. We need new systems of governing ourselves. And I hope that we figure it out, because people seem to talk about like homelessness like this, like they forget they're people, like homeless, and how easily, especially in the States, boy, oh boy, how easily it could happen to anybody. Like I could be one of those homeless guys so easily. Like 3 things have to happen. I'm fucked. And everybody's like that. So there's something called UBI, Universal Basic Income, and I think it's a great idea. It's basically, in a nutshell, the government gives you $1,800 a month, no matter what. Anyway, that's a whole other podcast, but I think it's at the very, very least, it's an interesting thing to think about. What would happen, And all kinds of things would happen for sure. Think about it more, like there'd be problems. Anyway, it's a fun conversation, at the very least. Universal Basic Income. Google it. Andrew Yang is all about it. He wrote a great book on it. Anyway, Silver Lake was a good time. I liked it. Not as much as Echo Park, but there's a nicer area of Sunset. I would say that. I went to a different gym. I went to a gym called Pharaoh's. Oh, I loved it. They had a huge boxing gym, so it didn't have that problem of the tiny one. And it had a parking lot, so I didn't get tickets or towed. And I liked it. I had a little bit of experience at that point. So at one point, someone said to me, "Whoa, you're obviously experienced," or something like that. My ego, my head was so big I could barely get out of the place. Anyway, and that's a joke because I'm not experienced. And I don't know what that person was thinking. But I must say, I think that experience was better at Pharaoh's gym than the first one. It was this big thing, and then I actually had a proper gym. And what's weird about gyms in Los Angeles is that people take their shirts off. Where I'm from, man, if you're like on the treadmill, like, well, it's getting hot in here, and I'm gonna take my shirt off, it wouldn't go over well. I mean, you get kicked out. At the very best of situations, they might get a picture of you like a shoplifter, like don't let this person in again. That could be bad. Man, it's just, they do it there, and they bring their dogs. It's different. But you get used to it. Anyway, Pharaoh's Gym was great. That was a part of my routine. And I really got into the boxing. But then I started to feel like it was maybe a bit soft. I started to feel kind of tough. And that brings us to Venice Beach. So we stayed in Venice. That wasn't really for me. It's flat, first of all. The homelessness, geez, I hate talking about it like it's a nuisance. It's you're walking over people and people going to the bathroom on the streets, just all drugged out, lying everywhere. Like, yeah, I mean, it's so I'm not being calloused, but it has to be mentioned. Sirens all the time. A lot of like guys alone on bicycles, kind of going slow. I think they're looking for opportunities for petty theft. Anyway, wasn't crazy about Venice. No. So I'd walk to the beach, to see all the classic things. There's a cool coffee shop that had like cafe racers, these type of motorcycles I like. That was cool. The gym. So I went to this gym, and it wasn't CrossFit. I don't know what it was, but it was okay. Again, a bit crowded. But I see across the street, there's like a warehouse with like guys training, like fighters. I'm like, I'm going to fucking go there. So I did. I'm thinking, I've went to 3 different boxing. This will be my 3rd boxing gym. I can handle this step. So I did. Misjudged it. I shouldn't have, but I did. So I go in, sign up, and then I go in the next day. And it's like a warehouse thing. Lots of heavy bags. So I'm there, but I don't know what's going on. So you're stretching in the corner, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. So I'm doing that. I know the thing starts at 7. So I got like less than 5 minutes. No problem. I could stretch for less than 5 minutes. Teacher will come in. Great. So it was like 7:10, 7:15, 7:30. I've never stretched more in my life. I'm just waiting for something. And then all this time, there's this fucking insane guy. He's like 7 feet tall. He's like red eyes. He's like 90% testosterone. His forearms look like fucking horse dicks. And like he's killing the heavy bag. And there's me and like 4 other people just like sitting there stretching, trying to pretend like this maniac is not like I don't know, on steroids or something. Never seen anything like it. It would not tire. And I'm like, I'm trying to get the temperature of the room. Like, what is going on? Who's the teacher? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go to the bag and start punching it? Am I being an idiot just like standing in the corner? But then if I start punching it, is he going to be like, is this challenging? Like horse dick arm guy? Because he'd fucking kill me with one finger. He looks like he's out of control. He's like, "Rah!" He's like literally like, like Braveheart yelling while he's like doing these crazy powerful combinations on the heavy bag. And you think he stops, he's gonna like be like out of breath or something. He's not even out of breath. And it's just like goes at it again, just like the fucking like the heavy bag raped him, or when he was sleeping or something. He's like, fuck you, but he's insane. Absolutely nuts. And I'm just stretching like for half an hour. I guess I could have left, but some element of pride, I don't know. But I just could not figure out the room. Anyway, one of the fucking guys comes in and he's talking like, he has a mouth guard in. It was in the whole time. Apparently he's the teacher guy, but he has this like fight coming. So he wants to just train, and his buddy here who is not usually the teacher is going to be the teacher tonight. Anyway, way late start. We finally start. And so the guy who's the real teacher, checked in with me really quick. Like I could barely understand him because of his mouth guard. And too cool for school guy was obviously not experienced. We're going to pretend to be the teacher tonight. So I go through these things. We all kind of like run back and forth like idiots. I'm like, I don't know. This is good. You got to do things you don't like, or figure it, get into a situation and figure it out. I thought it was okay. Here we go. Stay away from that lunatic guy that wants to kill the heavy bag. Anyway, so like going to the heavy bag, I'm like, great, that's why I'm here. I just love punching the punching bag. You get this huge workout. I just want to do push-ups and learn combinations, and that's all I want to do. So the first thing they say is pair up. I'm like, fuck. I'm in the wrong fucking class, man. And I'm like, just don't put me with that maniac. So stupid. Pair up. We're going to spar. I'm like, I don't want to do that. What a weird thing. Anyway, so there's this little Russian girl. And she was there. And they paired me up with her. Yeah. She was angry too, man. She was as angry as that guy. But a different kind of anger. A Russian anger, I guess. She was like this tiny little pock-faced. She was, I mean, all respect to her. Far superior human than I am. All right, so I'm not making her this lowly person in this story. That would be me. So this super cool little Russian bitch starts hitting me, and then the too cool for school teacher guy is loving every minute of it. How do you handle this? She's probably 120 pounds or something, but she's like, this is not her first class. She is super into it. We got pads on and stuff. Oh, they're gross. I mean, I know I'm in the wrong fucking world, or I'm like, there's not enough Purell. Like, it's so fucking gross putting these pads on. So I'm thinking maybe I'm not cut out for this if I can't handle the fucking stinky pads. Anyway, you get over it. I was in the wrong fucking class, man. So he's telling us to do like a few things, whatever. And I'm like, I can't hit her. Right? And it's a weird situation where not hitting her is actually kind of rude. It's like, the gender thing comes up. Like, what? Because I'm a girl, you know? But then, like, it's so instilled in me that I can't. And I tried. It was like I do like a kick, you know, it's like and then the too cool for teacher guy's like, make contact. And she was sure as fuck making contact. She was hitting me hard, the little bitch. And but like blocking them with my forearms. And she's anyway, I couldn't do it. And I could tell that she was annoyed at my lack of commitment, and that she's annoyed. She wanted to be with somebody else. She didn't want to get partnered with me either. I'm like, okay, we're going to have to hit her to be polite. So it's like a certain level of like, I didn't want it to be too soft, where it's like condescending, but am I too hard, where it's like my personal ethic or whatever, I can't do it. And I'm not liking this moment at all. Pair up, spar, fuck. Anyway, so I hit her. So how I did it was it was like a kicking thing, but I didn't hit her. I kind of spanked her with my foot. Like, cause you have like bare feet, right? And she has these tight pants on. I think I instinctively, I don't want to like hit her in the kneecap. So like I went for like a fleshy part so it wouldn't hurt. And I tried to make, you know, like as much contact as possible to disperse the energy. I'm nervous about it, just talking about it. So it's like right on her bum with my foot. Well, smoke came out of her nose. Her eyes went red, and she popped me right in the fucking chin. And too cool guy, teacher, burst out laughing. And Russian girl goes, too close. Too close, whatever that meant. She didn't like that I spanked her with my toe. Anyway, so after that, all the other hits were like not spanky. They were just different. It sucked. I fucking hate it. I was in the wrong class, man. Anyway, I'm thinking, well, the pamphlet said it's over at whatever it was, like 8:30. So I'm like, looking at the time, it's only 10 more minutes. This little Russian girl can just kick me and punch me for the next 10 minutes. And too cool guy can love every minute of it. And that will be my evening. Anyway, 10 minutes pass, half an hour, 40, like it's fucking forever. And of course, all the more experienced bunch, their shirts are off now because it's LA, and they're all beating each other up, and they're just like right in their fucking element. Wrong class. And they're not respecting the times. So I'm trying to figure out my excuse because I can't. Enough's enough. So I came up with an excuse. I said, hey, man, like it's supposed to be over at 8:30 and like we're like an hour past or something crazy. I think I said I have a babysitter at home. He knew I was lying. Anyway, from saying I gotta go to when I actually left is probably like I'm like, got those stinky fucking gross pads off as quick as I could. And I was out of there. Wrong class. And then a couple days later, the whole COVID thing happened. So I didn't go back to any gym after that. Wasn't crazy about Venice. But you know, my experience at Echo Park, Venice, it's just, you end up on a certain street at a certain time of year, a certain house on a certain street, and there's so many variables, you know. I released a book while I was there, and that felt good. Uncharted Waters. I have a few books. Some are doing better than others. None are doing very good, but I'm proud of it. And you know what's interesting about this book, Uncharted Waters, is I said that, I don't know if I said to anybody in particular, but I don't really talk to too many people. But I said I don't care about making a lot of money. Any money. I don't want it to be a wild success. I just want people to read it. And I want to have something I'm genuinely proud of, that if I died next week, I would be proud of this, and that I left the world with something, you know, that I'm really proud of. And it is. So I got to put my money where my mouth is, because I said all that shit, and now it's not selling very well. So I got to be like, well, buddy, hope you're proud of it. Well, I am. But I could have sold a few too. Fuck. It's tough, man. There's so many books out there. And, you know, what do you do? I had zero marketing money, you know, so my marketing budget was zero. Basically, a few $100. But in this world, that's basically zero. What are you going to do? Sell my motorcycle? Put it to Facebook ads? Fuck no. Proud of it. It's out there. Move on. I also did the audiobook, which is a fuckload of work. If you want to hear that, please check it out. The Uncharted Waters audiobook. I'm not crazy about how it's edited. All the breaths were cut out very short. So sometimes it sounds like this. You know, I'm not really selling it, am I? I am proud of that too, but the editing could be a little bit different. But please do check it out. If you're in Audible, it's free. Anyway, moving on, starting to sound like a sales pitch. Speaking of sales pitches, I did say that I would tell you about the Golden Globes. And yeah, we went, man. And it was fun. It was really interesting. Again, my wife's into that kind of thing. And so she brings me along, and it was neat. I'm not going to give the play-by-play of the whole night. But, you know, we ended up on this like shuttle bus thing, and then it brings you to the hotel where it happens. And once you're in, you're in. And it's all happening there. It's very busy. And I mean, celebrities are everywhere as they like struck. And you kind of get used to it quickly. And they're just walking by you and going to wherever they're going to. And it was kind of neat. It's kind of like a zoo for people, you know? Who strikes me? Tom Hanks is taller than I thought. Spielberg is shorter. The host that night, what's his name again? Seth Meyers? You know, the guy with the late night show? He's the skinniest, frailest looking man I've ever seen in my life. I hope he's okay. But I've noticed that a lot of the male celebrities are, if they're not like these big people, they're like their body fat is like 0. It's insane. I guess because on the camera they don't really look like that, but in real life, holy moly, they wouldn't do good in that boxing class. Anyway, so yeah, who else? Renee Zellweger was right behind me, and then I kind of was in each other's personal space for a moment. I didn't say anything. Fuck, I should have said something. She was like just saying these like, oh my word, or something as she was walking and looking at things. And I had a moment where I could have said something. I should have said like, you look beautiful tonight or something. Had a moment with Renee Zellweger. That would have been neat, right? But I didn't. I didn't say a word. She just moved on. But then I did have a moment with, you know who? Pierce Brosnan. It's a true story, man. So I go to the bar to get Karina. She wanted a champagne. So I wanted to get her champagne. It was like fucking like $40 or something. For one, I think it really was. I don't think I'm exaggerating. It might be exaggerating a bit, but it was like a fucking lot. Anyway, so in the bar area, it was a little bit quieter there for whatever reason, probably because it was so expensive, even for. And who's in the corner? None other than Pierce Brosnan. So I couldn't help it. I took a picture, like a sneaky little picture. He's all by himself, looking at a piece of paper, having a drink. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of neat. Taller, by the way, than I would have thought. And then I give the champagne to Karina, and I'm like, I gotta take a leak. So I go to the bathroom, and it's busy. It's just one of those situations where you're lined up, and it's this is pre-COVID, so like you're too close. Ugh. Anyway, and then finally, so it's a small bathroom, small hallway. You're all jammed up in there, in the lineup. And finally it's your turn to go. And you're like, well, fuck, I have to go so bad, but now, and I know they're watching you from behind. There's nothing else to just look at. So finally I take a leak. And then once I get going, I'm like, it was like the longest pee ever. I'm like, oh, it took me a while to get going. Then I couldn't stop. I'm like, fuck. And I turn around, and who's there? But Pierce fucking Brosnan. He watched me pee. I'm not making this up, man. And again, he's a bit taller than you would think. So I look up, and I'm like, oh, I was struck. And he looked at me, and the way he looked at me, he kind of said, yeah, fuck you, buddy. You have a little story you're going to tell this one day, aren't you? And then when he went, and I left, I washed my hands and left. That's it. That's my story with Pierce Brosnan. Anyway, one little caveat to that evening, to that story of Pierce Brosnan, is he was presenting. So we were up. We're not actually in the ceremony. We're at the Disney Fox party. So you take an elevator up, and it's a really, really cool party, and they have screens everywhere. And again, I feel like I'm not really supposed to be there. Everyone is in like Fox or associated with things that got, nominated. Except us. So anyway, so I'm watching on the screen Pierce Brosnan. He's stumbling on his lines. He's not in the moment. Man, I vibed him out, I'm telling you, and I ruined his performance. Anyway, it was a nice night. I had a good time. Yeah, I mean, my wife's super cool. I mean, it wasn't for her, there's no way I would ever, and other people find it interesting. That's why I'm telling you, because I'm sure some people find it kind of interesting. And it was. There's something about, like I say, you get struck by just seeing people in real life. And I won't go through all of them, but there's just like a ton. And, but then, then you get tired towards the end of the night. And you give zero fucks. You're like, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. You walk by, there's a Brad Pitt. You're like, I think I'm done. So, yeah. Yeah, my wife could have done better. Anyway, so then, COVID happens and it was getting really weird and tense. We were in Venice at that time and talking about borders closing, and it was really getting uncomfortable. So we said, okay, let's drive home. We left in the morning in Venice, Los Angeles, and the next night we were at our home in British Columbia, Salt Spring Island, BC. That's a big deal. That's fast. Ugh. Fuck, I'm stressed out thinking about it. And then we were home, and I'm seeing all these notes all around the house and things for that past Scott did for me. And I said, thank you, past Scott. That's what I had in mind. That's where the sprinkler goes. That's where this microphone is. That's why this cable is here. So, and now, so after COVID, I didn't do a podcast. I didn't do anything. I didn't post anything. I just, it felt like shit got real. All of a sudden, like, celebrities seem so stupid. They always did, but I mean, like, really, we don't care about your opinions. We need to learn how to garden. It's just, things got really real, really quick for everybody. And, what's important really, we sobered up. We sobered up. Actually, everybody got drunk. And I did too, actually, I must admit. For a little while there. Boy, oh boy. But I didn't feel it appropriate to do a podcast or to be posting anything really. Just shut up, mind your own business. And that's how I kind of went about it. Anyway, but I think it's been a while now and we're cool. And, what's been going on? I mean, it's the end of the summer. I'm thinking about getting into some new hobbies. I'm so busy all the time. I don't have a traditional job, you might have noticed. But I'll tell you what, man. I don't know how to say this without sounding arrogant, but like, it's never been harder in a way. I don't fire the pillow at night because I work so damn hard during the day. And what am I doing? I don't fucking know. Something. It's always some kind of project or house thing. But anyway, but there's certain arrogance to that, I realize, so excuse that. Anyway, so what else, man? Yeah, we went to Whistler. Now we're getting really recent. Went to Whistler. I downhill mountain biked, which is great. Went to Tofino, surfed. We're getting towards, went on a sailing trip with the father-in-law. That was fun. So, I don't know, man. We're home now. And I love it. Just leave me here, please, for 6 months at least. But my wife, she has a need to travel. It's it's like a need. So that's okay. But I actually I like to work on home too. Anyway, so thanks for tuning in. I just kind of rambled there a little bit. Talked about our trip to LA, some things that happened. We didn't talk about COVID too much, right? That's good. Fuck it. Notice everyone, you go to a coffee shop or wherever, everyone's conversation, well, go to your Google News or whatever. Everybody's just saying the same headlines, but they say it like it's an original thought. You know what I mean? Anyway. let's talk again. Right? Let's do this again. I'd like to talk about UBI, not in a way that I know all about it or I think it's the best thing. I think it's a fun thing to think about. I think it's worth talking about why it's great, but also what horrible things can happen. It's interesting. Universal basic income. All right. So next time I think we'll chat about that. Maybe I'll have an interview lined up. By the way, that's a weird thing. I'm not very good at it, if you've noticed. I'd like to work on that. I think it can go two ways. Either you talk about your person you're interviewing and their life, or you both talk about something. So it's, like an issue or something not related to their life. And I think what I got to do is recognize if someone's not comfortable talking about themselves too directly. Okay, let's choose something to talk about that. So I think it's really one or two things, one or two those two directions. And recognizing it's one or the other and I see which one's working better for them. So I think I discovered that. I did listen back to those. Another thing, this is a little weird phenomenon, is that everybody becomes super Canadian. I'm in Canada, I'm talking to Canadians, and like all of a sudden their Canadian accent is like turbocharged, and they're talking about like stereotypical Canadian things. And that's interesting. I don't know why it is, but I haven't done it many times, but I could tell that it's this phenomenon. It's a thing that happens. I think I might do it when I'm in the customs. I don't know what it is. I think because people they think they don't know who's listening. And I'm a good old Canadian boy and girl. Don't worry about me. I'm a good part of society or something. I don't know who's listening, and in the future, this will be held against me. I think it's something like that. Anyway, it's annoying, and I would like to steer conversations in a different direction if I see that happening. Anyway, let's talk again, all right? This is Scott's Boring Life. I think I chatted for a while there. I don't know how long. But if you listened right to the end, by golly, give me an email. scottmckenzie323@gmail.com. There's a couple people out there that I think listen to this. And don't tell me. There's some people like around town. But anyway, email me. Something you want to talk about, want to shout out, whatever. Okay, this is Scott's Boring Life, and we'll catch up next time. Hope you're well. Hope you're safe. Relax. It's fine. All right? It's going to be okay.